Pacific is very big. Many things can happen on board the boat. On tuna boats, you just have to be on the cruise or captain's role. Imagine that you are for months at sea, you are working, that's your job. You live from that. You are not with a family, you are not with your friends, doing other stuff. You are working at sea all the time. You get crazy.
The man's name was Keith Davis. He worked at what is called a fisheries observer. It was his job to monitor, count, and report what was caught to regulators on shore. He was not just a number cruncher. He had a real passion for the ocean and for protecting the ocean's creatures. He took that passion to the front lines, actually working on the boats that catch the fish.
Okay, I'm Keith Davis. I'm doing a comparison of marlin here. This is a blue marlin here.
He was, in a way, a paid conspicuous informant. That's what observers do. They are the watchmen and women of the sea.
We monitor the size of a fish. When we sail in a boat, we are normally introduced clearly to everyone. This is your fisheries observer, and he'll be here to monitor how we carry out our operations.
Fishery observers are unknown entities. You ask 100 people on the street about fisheries observers, 99 are going to say, what? People don't know who these people are, and they're such fundamental, they do the conservation dirty work that brings seafood to your plate. And not just fish sandwiches, we're talking some of the finest seafood in the world.
More I know, more I see the work of the observers as someone that it needs to be there, but it's not desirable that he does his job 100% correct.
Once you go into a boat, we hope to seaport again. It's not easy. It's not an easy job.
In August of 2015, August and September, Keith was working on what's called a refrigerated cargo ship, observing the offloading of large volumes of tuna from smaller longliners. Longliners are these rickety, slime-covered, much smaller boats that are often at sea for a year or more. They string lines out into the ocean for miles and miles and miles, and all they do is fish, 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 and unload their fish to a cargo ship.
The game here is always hiding the numbers. That's why I think that the ocean is really getting depleted much more than we think than what it's registered.
It was a dicey part of the ocean to be in the first place. One of the reasons observers were sent to that part of the world is because what are called pirate ships, illegal, unreported, unregulated longliners, were offloading illegal catches onto cargo ships. Keith was there to monitor what the legal longliners were unloading or offloading, but he was also there to watch for illegal fishing, illegal shark finning, illegal activity of any sort, which he would report back to his supervisors on shore and to regulatory authorities.
Seems to be an oil slick. Not sure where it's originating. pretty significant.
We have access to email in the boat. We can send our own personal email to our family members, and we are required to send a weekly report. Those of us that speak two languages, we have the upper hand. If what you're writing down in English, I can read it.
I was accused by my own government of being too meticulous, I'm being too rigid, or I follow too much the rules. So it comes to a point that I get tired. I got tired of it, you know. It was good money, but was sort of dirty money.
In any event, this trip started out fairly routine, but as it progressed, Keith began to get more and more frustrated. The fish coming off the longliners were so heavily butchered, he had a hard time identifying them. It was like working in a slaughterhouse. The reason this is important is because there are some very high-value tuna that are being caught out there, tuna that are subject to various conservation measures. And if you cannot identify what's coming on board, how can you report it, much less protect it?
The observer program is paid by the ship owners, but they pay to the government, and the government does the agreement with us. And so they feel like they are paying for someone to be on board that it's gonna get them into trouble. And if you report some infringement, you won't be able to get on board again. So the observer in this game of fisheries is the guy that has no strength.
So what's the use of being an observer? Being an independent observer? If you know you cannot do your work independently, and you drink, then whatever comes out from you is a lie.
Keith was a veteran observer. He'd been doing it for years. He'd been working in some of the hardest, toughest places on the ocean. The last day of the trip, after the last catch had been loaded onto his refrigerated cargo vessel, calm day, cloudy skies, nothing out of the ordinary. In the middle of the day, Keith Davis turns up missing. And to this day, no one knows what happened.
Well, this song I like to play, originally wrote it out at sea here on a transshipment vessel. It's called Up With the Sun.
I mean, if these were USDA meat inspectors or poultry inspectors and they were dying on the job at this rate, there would be outrage. But, I mean, fishery observers are unknown entities.
For everyone that goes down to the sea, returns back to the sea. Some say he's lost. Maybe he's been found. If you listen on the breeze, you still hear his sound.